There's a moment that repeats itself in her life. And for years, she thought it was just bad luck. A relationship gets close, gets real, gets to the point where someone might actually need her. And something in her quietly pulls back. Not dramatically, just enough. A small distance that she can always explain away until she's alone again, wondering how it happened for the 4th time. She used to think this was about the other person. Wrong timing, wrong match, wrong effort on their part. But the pattern kept repeating with people who had nothing else in common, which meant the common thread had to be her. And when she finally sat with that, uncomfortably, she started asking a harder question. Where did I learn to do this? The answer wasn't in her own life at all. It was in her mother's. Her mother had married young into a family where love was conditional on being useful, where closeness always seemed to come with a quiet cost. Her mother learned early to keep one foot out the door in every relationship, just in case. And without ever saying a word about it, without ever sitting her daughter down to explain, she passed that same quiet instinct along, the way you pass along a walk, a laugh, a way of holding a coffee cup. Nobody chooses to inherit this. It just arrives, folded into everything else that gets handed down. She thinks about one specific memory now. She was maybe 9, crying after a fight with a friend, and her mother had sat beside her, not unkindly, and said, "You'll be fine. You don't need her anyway." It wasn't cruel. It was said gently, even lovingly. But the lesson underneath it was unmistakable. Don't need people too much. Needing is where the danger lives. She didn't understand it as a lesson at the time. She just absorbed it, the way children absorb almost everything, without translation. This is what family patterns actually are. Not curses, not something written in blood. They're simply the emotional survival strategies that worked for someone once in circumstances that no longer exist, passed down anyway, because no one interrupted the pattern to ask if it was still needed. A grandmother who learned that showing need meant being abandoned. A father who learned that anger was the only emotion allowed to be loud. A mother who learned that love always had strings attached. And then, decades later, a daughter, wondering why closeness makes her want to run, with no memory of ever being taught to do that. If you're enjoying this so far, this is exactly the kind of pattern work I dig into every week here. So hit subscribe if you haven't already. And if this is resonating, a like helps this reach more people who need to hear it too. She started noticing the pattern in small conversations with her mother, the way certain topics were handled with humor instead of honesty, the way vulnerability always got redirected into practicality within a sentence or two. She wasn't angry at her mother anymore once she understood this. She was almost tender toward her, imagining a young woman doing the best she could with tools she never chose, in a family that never offered her any others. She started paying closer attention to her grandmother too. On the rare occasions the family spoke about her at all. A woman who had raised 4 children essentially alone, who prided herself on needing nothing from anyone, who wore her independence like an achievement because the alternative, for her, had once been genuinely dangerous. That fierce self-sufficiency had kept her grandmother safe in circumstances that no longer existed for anyone in the family. But the instinct itself never got updated. It just kept traveling forward, generation to generation, looking for somewhere to land. Understanding where a pattern came from didn't make it disappear overnight, but it changed something important. Instead of asking what's wrong with me, she started asking whose voice is this really? And more often than not, the answer let her set the pattern down. Gently, the way you'd set down something heavy you didn't realize you'd been carrying for someone else the whole time.
She began doing something small but deliberate. In moments when she felt the old instinct to pull away, she'd pause and ask herself one question. Is this mine or is this hers? Sometimes the honest answer surprised her. It wasn't her own fear at all. It was a fear she'd never actually needed, inherited fully formed, like a coat that had never quite fit, but that she'd worn anyway, because it was the only one she'd ever been handed. If any part of this feels familiar, if you've ever repeated something in your own life that doesn't quite make sense given your own history, it might not be your story at all. It might be one you were handed before you were old enough to know you had a choice about carrying it.
I offer guided family constellation sessions for exactly this kind of work, helping you see which patterns are truly yours to carry and which ones you're ready to finally set down. You'll find how to book a session linked in the description. And if this video resonated with you, make sure to check out the other videos on this channel, where we dig into more of this work together. And I'd love to hear in the comments if any part of this felt familiar to your own family.